Welcome back to my series discussing the different types of theatrical stage playing areas. And if this is your first time meeting me, my name is Aisha Nairi. I am an actress with over 35 years of experience. So we're going to talk about the proscenium stage in this video. The proscenium stage is what most of us in Western theater identify more readily to what we think of when we think of a theater or a stage play. The proscenium stage started in Hellenistic Greece, so in ancient Greek times, and they look something like this. So you can see you have here, this is the actual playing area. That's usually a very thin, a rectangular long space for the solo actors to perform. Now, it's not existent in this photo because these are ancient ruins, but we do know from documents that right back here would have been a smaller building structure type of area. And I am taking Greek lessons right now, so I might butcher this, but I think if I'm hoping it's correct, in Greek they would have called it a skana, and in English we usually call it a skene. It is spelled Skene if you're looking it up. Now here, in this circular part here, is where the orchestra, musicians, and also the chorus, the Greek chorus would have been. And I want to do other series talking about Greek theater because I am a true theater kid and I love, love, love looking at and learning about Greek theater. But how they did it, they had the chorus was a group of actors, but it also represented a whole character. So we're going to get more into that, but today we're just talking about the types of stages. And as you can guess, all around here is where the audience would sit to watch the players. Now, 2 years ago, my boyfriend and I actually went to Greece and we took a stop and visit at the Theater of Dionysus. So here is a photo from that trip and just look at how beautiful it is. So you can see the same thing. That's where the orchestra musicians would be in the chorus. You see there's a large structure there, so and the playing area is right in front. So you can see how this looks very similar to the beginnings of theater's proscenium stages that we have today. And also because I think we're cute, this is us on that trip. I know, isn't he? Smoke show. Proscenium stages continued through the Roman period as well, and Baroque and Renaissance, with some slight changes here and there. But a lot of the same general concepts remain. So you have a playing area, you have some sort of backdrop back area where actors can come in and out, you have a rounded orchestra area and seats all around. Now, with these types of proscenium stages, you can see what makes it difficult. There's no saying, like, they're trying to separate the players from the audience and create a very distinct world. But as you can see, they are also focused on making sure people could see. So folks at the top could see everything, but as you get lower down, it's harder to see some of the action. But how they presented plays would be very different to how we look at plays today. During the Renaissance and then the Baroque period, proscenium stages start to come inside, and so instead of an outdoor arenas like you'd see, there'd be indoor ones. Now the indoor proscenium stages, I looked it up, the oldest surviving one that we have these days, it was built in 1585. The Teatro Olympia, it's an Italian theater, and you see some of the differences in that proscenium arc. The big thing is they took away the skene almost and replaced it just with the back of the theater, but there's definitely room for a playing area, orchestra down front, and places for people to see. That type of structure did shift even further to add on another very important piece of the stage, which we call the proscenium arc. So you see here's an example of a modern playhouse. So this part right here, this big square that is surrounding a stage, that creates a frame for the player. So it's almost as though the audience is taking a peek inside of a room into the world of the play. So this really helps separate the playing area, the playing space from the audience to make sure that this whole world is created and the audience is just getting a little peek into it. So when you hear people talking about breaking the fourth wall, so the concept of this proscenium, what the arc does by creating that frame and creating that clear delineation from the audience, that becomes almost like a wall, an invisible fourth wall. So you have 1, 2, 3, and the audience is the fourth wall. So the concept is everything's happening inside that space, and since we're able to see through it. So when you hear someone said an actor was breaking the fourth wall, that's when the actor comes forward to the downstage playing space and addresses the audience directly. So they are busting through that fake wall. And through that device, you can, and playwrights have played with that in a lot of different ways. And then you can see when it starts showing up in various plays. Because before it was just focus on the room, pretend that wall's not there. So then when an actor pops out and addresses the audience, it kind of gives a feeling of surprise and like delightment, like, oh, okay, you're in on this with us. Now the proscenium arc serves as that device, and also the curtain coming up and down from just slightly behind that arc. You'll see in older theaters especially that this can be decorated. It could have tiles. It could have stuff that relates to the play. People go there's all sorts of things you'll see that people do, all to help create the feeling of the environment. They're creating a new environment for the audience to be part of in the world of the play. Now, while we see a lot of proscenium stages and proscenium arcs, I go to a lot of Broadway areas, you will find that more and more production houses are stepping away from this type of stage in favor of other types of stages. And the reason being is, as they come up with plays, this is very much a clear, like, this is our world and that's your world. And so when you have more interesting plays or plays where you want the audience to feel a certain way or to be a part of it, then you want things where the audience can be a little bit closer and surrounding the playing area versus just a clear window, framed picture to look at. Now, some of the challenges of working on a proscenium stage, and I've worked on plenty of this types of stage, it's just helping to control sight lines. So you'll see with when directors are doing blocking, which we also talk about what blocking is. Blocking is telling the actors where they have to stand. You just have to make sure you're filling the space in a way that makes sense, knowing that there is a wall there, and sometimes that can make the actors stand in straight lines and stand in real weird ways. So you have to make sure they're blocked in certain ways to make sure everyone, for example, like these folks, have a decent line of sight. But it also adds a benefit because now the audience doesn't have to worry so much about this area. They really only have to focus and fill those other 3 spaces. So it helps a little bit saying this is the very clear area of play. That's also why when you read some plays, it'll feel that the action is going on in a different way than when you read a more modern play meant to be presented in more of a surrounding type of stage. So, okay, that's it. That's a proscenium stage. And I'm going to talk more about another kind in the next video. I hope this helps. If you have any question, drop a comment. Tell me about the last play that you saw on a proscenium stage. Do you remember what it looked like? Did you actually perform on this? A lot of high schools and middle schools do. So tell me about your favorite proscenium stage, and we can go from there. All right, thank you all so much for joining me, and I will see you next time. Bye.